Hey everybody, welcome back. We're playing the Binding of Isaac Repentance. We're clicking, pardon me, clicking the randomizer on, clicking the button, then we're going to Mega Satan. That's, it's not so bad. At least we're playing as a character with a reasonable amount of HP. You leverage that for deals with, we can't take deals with the devil. You can't take deals with the devil though. Alright, never mind, it was all screwed up. Now actually, you might have thought from the congestion that you heard that I was, hold on, this is important. It was worth a try at least. You might have thought I'm a little bit under the weather. 2% at most. What you actually just heard is a bit of a tortellini sort of catch in the throat. I'm almost dead. That was not the master of diagonal walking. Normally, I get granola throat. It's when you've been talking a lot, you eat a granola bar, you know, it's rough, it's coarse, it gets everywhere, it's got a high coefficient of friction, gets stuck in your throat, you find yourself talking like a weirdo. I did have some granola today. Not really crushing the dodges so far, huh? I did have some granola today, but it's not granola throat. Maybe a little bit of tortellini throat. I had some roasted chicken and garlic tortellini. I guess it's chicken and roasted garlic. I don't know how they cooked the chicken that went into the tortellini. I'm gonna guess probably some kind of gross industrial sous vide sort of like warm water bath. It's one of those things where, for the most part, I just kind of think, what I don't know, it can't hurt me. For the most part, I don't get that annoyed or grossed out, I guess, when food is produced in kind of like gross ways. Like I always, the most classic example I think is that like McDonald's chicken nuggets are originally, or even like as recently as the early 2000s, were made of like a pink paste that was extruded onto a conveyor belt and then you breaded and fried. You're like, a lot of people got shocked by that. They said, I'll never eat chicken nuggets ever again. McDonald's changed the formula. Went for all white meat chicken nuggets, which, and look, I don't mind the dark meat chicken. I don't mind dark meat on the turkey. Some might even prefer it. And really, like a chicken thigh has so much more flavor than a chicken breast. But when it comes to a nugget, I think they got the right idea there. But even, I was only like maybe 16 when they changed that. I'll take it. But even as a kid, I though tempted to go, ooh, gross, my actual, the line of reasoning that I went through in my brain was more like, yeah, what'd you expect? Of course the nuggets are made of some kind of, franken meat. They all come out in one of four shapes, like all chickens are built differently. They're like snowflakes, right? But when you process them down to their nugget form, the smallest non-divisible form of chicken meat, it always becomes either a bell, a boots, I forget the rest, a circle, I can't remember. Give me one of the little 2 of diamonds. Alabaster box. Must be charged up by picking up soul hearts. Only spawns 2 soul hearts if a devil deal was taken recently. You know what? Like, the yum heart is great, but let's give this a shot. It's a little bit more interesting. It gives us a chance for some, like a force multiplier, right? If we can just get enough spirit hearts. If only we'd known... Well, we could have thought about it, I guess. That's true. You know what? We could just play another Eddie room in the future. That's not that big of a deal, I suppose, in the whole scheme of things. But, there's a phrase that's everything in moderation, including moderation. Took me a while to parse what that phrase means. I think what that means, the way that I take it, most people use it to justify overeating or overdrinking more often than they really should, even with the standard appropriate interpretation of the phrase. Hold on, we gotta think. Hermit, Joker, 2 of spades, Ace of hearts, Magician. So... Hermit, not really relevant. It's really just Joker, right? Joker's the only one that's that appropriate here. We can use it to hopefully get an angel deal on our 3rd floor if we don't get one normally. The idea is you should, all things in life should be taken in modest amounts, including modesty, which means every once in a while you should go a little bit crazy. But I actually think that in order for this phrase to be as appropriate as possible, we actually need to add one more level of iteration to it, you know, of its fractal type nature. It needs to be everything in moderation, including everything in moderation, even moderation. Because you need to also bake in the philosophy of only using that statement from time to time. Because if you use that statement outside of the bounds of moderation, you're now no longer acting in moderation for everything, including moderation. You're unmoderating your moderated exclusion. Wait, what? Okay, look, I kind of went cross-eyed, but I think you get the idea. But my philosophy is, you know, I'm not necessarily like a paragon of health or anything like that, but, you know, if you don't want to eat frankenmeat, then don't eat the frankenmeat. Sometimes people will be like, it's the classic, like, Subway situation, right? Where people go, you know, even still, like, I'll eat Subway on occasion, if you'll allow me, thank you. And I do have to admit that it's mostly for convenience and, like, food nostalgia, because it was big when I was, like, you know, just gathering independence as a young adult. I'll be the first person to admit it has to be the fast food chain whose food tastes the worst relative to their ubiquity, for sure. Like, they're everywhere and they're not that good. If you dropped an alien on Earth and then you were like, why are there Subways everywhere? You know, oh, people must love them. No, people by and large, I think, mostly are kind of, you know, consider it fairly mediocre, if not, you know, inedible. Dude, we're getting great luck here. So we're not going to go to that deal with the devil, but that's fine. But the thing with Subway, every time you talk about it, they're always like, oh, did you know in Ireland, they ruled that they can't even call the bread because there's like 10% of the weight of the flour that's added is sugar. I know that sounds strange, but it's like it's got less than a 10-to-1 ratio of flour to sugar. Okay, like I don't disagree that that's a humorous thing to point out. I will say I don't let the Irish Food and Drug Administration control all the decisions that I make in my life. A lot of people seem to be of the opinion that, you know, they should be the harbinger for what is and isn't bread, I suppose. I don't know. All I'm going to say is I'd like to see them bake a little bit. Okay, it's pretty good, actually. This is not a bad assortment of items here. I guess now that I think about it, well, I'm stupid. Now that I think about it, with Soul Locket, couldn't we have taken a deal with the devil? No, that's active contrition. Okay, that's my mistake. But, I'm like, yeah, I know. Like, it's not high quality food. That's why I only get it, like, every now and then. I also feel like if you applied those rigorous standards to every fast food chain, there'd be a lot less smack talk about Subway and a lot more like, oh, they're all bad. Like the yoga mat thing. Do you know those freaking PCBs are in, like, a variety of other fast foods? I was reading the Subway Wikipedia article 2 nights ago when I was eating a sandwich from there. Anyway. I don't mind the Franken food on occasion. I think you just gotta... As long as you go into it aware. I mean, that's the thing that I guess annoys me, is when people, you know, would get tricked into thinking that Subway is healthy, and then when, you know, a shred of common sense dropped, they were like, what? You're like, yeah, man, like... You're eating a whole loaf of bread and a bunch of cold cuts. I know they had the commercials with the guys who, like, got really skinny. Largely, they were eating, like, a salad with a baguette on the side. Even that's probably not that good for you. We've come a long way. But still, like, they weren't getting the Italian BMT with extra bacon. Let's be realistic here. I do have to say, though, Subway is not good for you. That being said, I think you do have to acknowledge, and this is another reason that occasionally it tickles my fancy, it has probably the same macros as, like, your average fast food meal, but I think you get a lot more weight you get a lot more mass of food. Whether or not that appeals to you, maybe you'd rather have 900 calories in the form of a single capsule you could easily swallow. But for me, there are times, I'm not going to deny it, there are times. I guess we'll take Buddy in a box, too. where it just hits the spot to be like, you know what, let's have like a 900 calorie sandwich that takes 8 minutes to eat. Instead of a 900 calorie McDonald's meal that I could eat in, 45 seconds probably. But I'm not going to bat for Subway. If anything, like, I'm just asking Vancouver to step up its sandwich game. Just in general. And even if it's only with respect to the chain restaurants. Never seen a Jimmy John's here, never seen a Firehouse, never seen a Jersey Mike's, but I'm sure they're coming, man. I don't know. I find myself defending the Subway stuff now and then, but like, it's really like I always end up arguing myself out of the position. I'm like, because sometimes people will say like, you live in a city that's very like, there's a lot of great food, and yet you chose to eat at Subway. Yeah, because I also live in a city where like having to drive a car to get to a place of food is like it seems like anathema. I won't do it. So sometimes your options are a little bit more limited just by the sense of convenience. Vade Retro. Well-held non-ghost enemies spawn small red ghosts on death. On use causes the ghost to explode. I feel like every time I've had this item, I've thought that it would be bad, and then it actually frickin' ripped. But I could be wrong. So the decision of what to get for lunch is a very complicated one from time to times, Like, dude, that seemed pretty big to me. There's a lot of factors that go in. It's not exclusively taste. Sometimes there's convenience, Oh, what day of the week is it? Is it going to be busy? What time of the day is it? What's their parking lot like? What's the biking situation? A lot of different things on the go. Bookworm. Bookworm's good. I mean, we don't necessarily need to stick with Vade Retro with all those other options back there, but I do kind of feel like it's more fun this way. And let me tell you, this run, it's got something going. It's not necessarily, sold. Because again, like, I mean, am I not flying? What did I get hit by? I must have gotten hit by an enemy, not by Vade Retro. I would lose my mind if that were the case. We're actually kind of like underpowered offensively, but we can get out of that. I'm not wasting my time playing a 3-skull Monty, We've come a long way as an audience. Let's move on. Anyway, it is a Sunday. I am again constructing hypotheticals in my head, essentially, because I haven't really left the house too much recently. I'm like 100%. Family's still a little bit under the weather. Baby's going through a little bit of not too bad, but like certainly a little bit of a more rebellious phase now. Now, what does rebellion mean for a baby? Like, it's different than it is for a teenager, right? They still don't have that much agency. They still don't have that much power, either like, within the dynamics of the family or, physically or mentally. So now it's just like, I try to put her in the high chair for lunch and she's like, I don't wanna, and she like wiggles out of the restraints, and I try to put her in the car seat to like get her home from when we run some errands, and she's like, I don't wanna, and I'm like, well, that presents a serious problem. I will say though, it has desensitized me so quickly to being worried about being the parent whose child, at least like a toddler or a little kid, I think is a different story. Like, I'm not saying they're totally rational, because that's just the dumbest take you'll ever hear in your life. But as a parent, you have a little bit more of a responsibility, I think, to model appropriate behavior when your child is old enough to really observe and learn from it. When you're dealing with a baby, sometimes you'll just hear a baby like rip a fart or something like that at activity gym, and then, the parents will be like, oh, sorry, and you're like, what are you apologizing for? Maximum heart limit is raised to 18. Machine gun jubblies. Look at that. I was told they couldn't do that. I don't know, I was never told that, actually. Let's not just lie. But, what's a baby gonna do? Even, like, our kid is 14 months old now, and, she's still a baby. And will be for, like, quite some time. It's starting to have communication now, like, she'll maybe like read a book and then see the picture of an apple, and then she'll go apple, and I'm like, yeah, that's good. And then she'll do like the sign language for eating, and then the sign language for more, and I'm like, oh, you want to eat some more apples, okay? Like, it's kind of crazy, like, it's blowing my mind. I remember saying, like, when she was much younger, like, when she first deliberately communicates, like, a fully formed idea like that, it's gonna blow me away. And it still does, because I'm like, I mean, you can figure that out. Any day now, we can maybe start working on not crapping your pants. But maybe that's still a ways out. Understandable, okay? Yeah, like I was coming back from errands yesterday, and, you know, she didn't really want to go, which is fine, but also too bad. It's like, I'm not gonna, you know, leave you like home alone, or like, you know, while my wife is recuperating or sleeping. I'm not gonna be like, all right, take care of the house when I'm gone, you know, don't turn the stove on or whatever. This is just crazy. So I was like, well, you know, thank you for expressing your opinion, but we'll be going now. And then when she was like in the stroller, she was fine, no problem. When I tried to put her back in the car seat, she flipped out, and like I was trying to put the harness on her, but she was like ripping her arm out of the armrest and then like rolling over, and then she's doing this thing now when you try to like pick her up, she just goes like, she makes her shoulders like go completely limp, so if you were grabbing her under the armpit, like, you know, there's no longer any leverage there. She's like, just drop me. I'm like, it's a concrete floor, lady, you're crazy. Anyway, so it's become a little bit more of a hassle for sure, but I felt like that was a great introduction for me to this kind of behavior, because we were literally like outside of the house in a parking lot trying to get you into your car seat, and I'm like, how do you want to handle this one? Because if you don't come up with any better ideas in, I don't know, the next 0 seconds, we're just gonna keep doing this little back and forth dance here until you actually relent, get put into the car seat, and then I drive you home, and, you know, you'll be totally fine. I wouldn't concern yourself with it. And that's exactly what happened. So you know, she was screaming and crying. I always worry that there's going to be like some vigilante, like, you know, Facebook ants in the parking lot when stuff like that happens. They're going to hear like, I was in the parking lot, I heard a child screaming, I looked in through the window, and I saw that there was a wrestling match going on between this bald, middle-aged man wearing a shirt with Japanese kanji on it and a completely innocent 14-month... like, I'm just worried I'm going to get the police called on me for, like, trying to take my daughter back from daycare one day. But, you know, it hasn't happened yet. I think I got lucky that my daughter has a very similar size of head that I do. I think if we had a smaller-headed baby, I'm not going to say it's an uphill battle. You know, we got a proper documentation. I'm the father of this child. I'm not talking about a paternity test. I just mean like a birth certificate and my driver's license. You know, the two most important pieces of identification on the planet. But I think that for now, you know, if they were ever like, sir, is this your daughter? I think I could just be like, come on, look at us, come on. And they'd be like, all right, sorry for wasting your time. They probably would not say that. They would probably put me in handcuffs and arrest me. But then later, after I sued them for everything that they were worth for wrongful imprisonment, I would say, come on, look at us. Anyway. We got both key pieces, right? Like, this run, we're popping. This run's feeling good. We got actual damage. Like, Brainworm came in at the right time, for sure. It's not bad, man. It's not great. It's not like the greatest run I've ever seen in my life. You know, we're not talking about the game that I love, the game that I give my life for. We're talking about practice or whatever. I'm not picking that up. That's an insult. So yeah, that's basically what's been going on, is... I honestly, I think, I was worried that I would have a little bit more trouble being a stern parent, but really, like, it has not happened. Maybe it's just because I'm also a little, like, surly. This has been, like, a long couple of months. These are both fun. These are both fun. Let's take this one, though. The soul is really good, but, like, you know, we could, with 2 more angel deals, we can get anything. We could even get the soul. No, thank you. Yeah, I was worried that, you know, if, you know, my daughter didn't want to eat, I'd be like, okay, that's fine, sweetie. I'll just get you, like, a pepperoni pizza from Pizza Hut. Because, you know, you never know, right? Like, I think everybody likes to tell themselves they would be the parent that's, like, not like that. But definitely, I feel like I have started to grow into, not stern for no reason, like, not stern without compassion, but certainly when it's, like, you know, like, I'm trying to change your diaper after you pooped in it, and then, you know, the baby starts crying. I'm like, you're telling me, sister, what do you want me to do? I'm not letting you sit and poop all day. It's for your own good. So let's, you know, let's both plug each other's noses and get this over with. I think it's the proper attitude, at least. Anyway, grab the spirit heart, of course. I don't see us losing. You know, there's always, like, an avenue for losing. Even that run that we lost as Azazel, like, a week ago, there was an avenue for that to become a loss. And the avenue was very simple. It was just, you know, we might still be able to do this. The avenue was, you have low range no matter what, as Azazel, pretty much. If you just take some bad damage, things, pardon me, could turn around for you. And that's exactly how it happened. This one, on the other hand, I'm definitely struggling to see how we would come out of this with less than a W. Doesn't seem realistic to me. So I did rush it here, but that's because the Fool card lets us get into Boss Rush. Lots of items, in theory, could show up in Boss Rush, and then not actually do that, and instead give me something like, I don't know, shot speed up, or like a Dad's Lucky Penny, but we gotta let the game give us a try. So remember, we've already seen our angel deal, which means we can just come in here. Cursed Eye, Glitter Bombs, Mom's Razor. Hey, okay, I didn't know what I would have rather had happen there. Because on the one hand, conjoined for a 3rd run in a row. How about that? On the one hand, it's always nice to get a good item like Rotten Baby. On the other hand, it is also nice to have your cynicism validated. It's one of those feelings that, you know, probably is like a bad habit. Like, it shouldn't feel as good as it does to be a doubter and then have your doubt pay out. No, well, let's donate. We blow up our donation machine. Like, we're in equilibrium right now. While we're donating, I'll hydrate. Seems good to me. And let's get the heck out of town, man. This is a textbook sort of Mega Satan run here. Now remember, we're going up to the cathedral. Yeah, okay, no problem. Also remember, we're guaranteed angel deals on every floor. I'm a big fan of this room. Okay, needlessly bitter, but what were they thinking? You can just walk over it, Fred Fricks. So what's on the docket for this week? I don't know, like it depends whether you mean like for the stream or like for me as a human being. I feel like this is the last, like, Christmas is like a slow creep, you know, towards ubiquity. It's December 12th. This is the last week where it's like, you can forget that it's, and not in a negative way, but you can forget that it's kind of coming. Even unless you have a Peloton, in which case, like, every day they're like, hey, would you like to take a 30-minute sweat steady course where you just listen to Deck the Halls 20 times in a row? And I'm like, that I don't know. I don't know how I would feel about setting, like, a personal best workout while, like, Michael Bublé's It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year came on. I think I would always feel like if you just threw in some Wolf Parade or something, like, I could have put out a little bit more wattage, in which case I feel like I just left something on the table, right? Wolf Parade, lol, this guy's in his 30s and from Canada. It's true. I can't deny it. But, like, I think this is like the last week of, like, it not yet being the holidays. Let's put it that way. I don't know if that is the case. I'm sure for a lot of places you're probably, like, already taken off. But which is, I wish you the best, by the way. unless I need, you know, over the next 3 weeks, unless I need some of your goods or services, in which case I'll curse your name when I go to your office and find that your door is closed, and it's like, oh, the offices of blank and blank are closed from December 9th until January 6th. What the heck? That's like 8% of the year. But I hope you enjoy the holidays, regardless. I'm not trying to say, like, you should just show up there, you know, just so I can get my, like, brake fluid changed or whatever. I don't even know. I don't know how a car works. I'm just gonna be honest. If you asked me what the thing, like the components of a car do, I bet I could get like 15 right, depending on, you know, how specific you got. But there's a lot that I'm just gonna be honest, I got no clue, man. Like the engine, I get the engine. That generates the energy. It burns fuel of some sort, and it generates the energy that propels the wheels forward. That might not be 100%, but I think I'd at least get like half marks, maybe. And the wheels, you know, those are pretty self-explanatory. That's how you go skirt. Gear shifter, steering wheel, like, come on. But it's when we get into, like, you know, like, what does the oil do, and why does it need to be changed? I don't really know. I'm guessing it's one of those things like how when I was really into running, if I didn't apply a runner's lubricant underneath my shirt, I would end up with 2 bloody circles on my shirt by the time I got home. Is it kind of like that? Like if you don't change your oil often enough, the pistons inside of your engine will chafe? That seemed, and I know the oil, it just breaks down over use, right? Like, that makes sense. Carburetor? Absolutely no idea. I think it has something to do with water or air. It's just one of the two. Something to do, doesn't it? I think it goes like blah, 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 blah. It's, oh, your carburetor. Because whenever, like, maybe it's just a sitcom trope. Whenever, like, somebody's car starts steaming on the highway and they take it into, like, an auto body shop, they're always like, oh, your carburetor's shot. I know the alternator, right? Like, that helps, it helps recover your battery power when you are braking, thus allowing your battery to have a longer life. Like, you can laugh all you want. It's a pretty complicated machine. I also would love to just reiterate something I say quite frequently, which is, like, I really feel like I got let down by my high school and even maybe, like, middle school education. And I feel like I should know more about this stuff, but instead, I very much, you know, went to school, out of school, and during the time where it was like, oh, you're book smart, you don't need to worry about all that, like, blue-collar stuff, you know, don't even worry, that stuff's, like, too useful. Instead, let's just learn about, like, you know, the Krebs cycle. Just memorize the Krebs cycle instead of ever learning, like, what an alternator does. That being said, I suppose it has been almost more than 15 years since I graduated from high school, so at some point, I guess if I wanted to learn this information, I would take it upon myself to do so, but now, you know, I'm busy. Back then, I had nothing going on. That's why I'm always an advocate of, like, you know, teaching kids more practical stuff in school, because it's a lot easier to learn it when you're already there, you know, like 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 10 months a year. As an adult, you're like, yeah, I mean, it would probably be great to learn, like, what my triglycerides are, but I got a job, okay? Like, should have handled that stuff when I was in, like, 3rd grade. I was doing nothing. We were making, like, you know, clothespin reindeer for 2 weeks straight in December. Just sitting around doing word searches, waiting for people to finish their multiplication tables. Should have been teaching me about, you know, cholesterol and, I don't know, how to make paella. Instead, you were like, oh, hey, this one's a pretty tricky word search, Ryan. I don't know if you're going to be able to solve it. This one goes diagonally. Thanks. That really set me up. Really set me up for a life of being able to see patterns where they didn't exist anymore. Being able to look at a grid and be like, oh, look at that, it makes a word. Wow, isn't it crazy when you look at Miles Davis's name, you can rearrange the letters and make Avid Smiles. Wow, thanks. Sure glad I have to pay, you know, $90 for an oil change. But on the bright side, I'm, like, extremely good at anagrams. and coming up with a lie about what I did over my summer vacation. Just largely just sitting inside. You know what? The ultimate, like, middle school experience... I apologize if this is too real for you. The ultimate middle school experience, like 6th grade, 7th grade, is going on a family vacation in, like, July that you can't wait to be over and just go home and, like, do your own... whatever you were doing before, playing Digimon Adventures or whatever. But then, when school starts on the first day of school, overselling the vacation as if it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. I remember I went to the cottage with my parents, and it's not, we don't own a cottage, but like, we rented a cottage for like 4 days. I went with my parents and my grandparents. I should never have taken this, man. What happened to my cool tiers? What happened to my stats? Don't we get... Okay, we get a tears up for taking a little damage. I'm eager to capitalize on that, even though it might seem a little reckless right now. All I did, like, I only remember three things. One is I played a staggering amount of F-Zero on the Game Boy Advance. They remade the Super Nintendo F-Zero, and I played the crap out of it on the Game Boy Advance. It's a good game, but, like, you know, I probably played, like, I don't know, 40 hours of it over the course of, like, 4 days. I got a mosquito bite that it was so bad and I could not stop picking it that when it finally was gone, it left like a faded mark on my arm that lasted till I was like 25. I'm looking right now. Okay, I don't see it anymore, but it was legitimately there for like a decade. And it was also the first time I had ever eaten food cooked on a propane grill. And I was like, it's delicious. Tastes fantastic. All I wanted to do... I remember I also slept on a bunk bed where, like, the ceiling was, like... I don't know, maybe, like, 10 inches above the top of the bunk. So, like, every morning when I woke up, I would hit my head on it. It was, like... It was, like, not bad. Like, it wasn't torturous. But it was, at the very least, like, you know, it wasn't my ideal middle school, vacation, which probably would have just been, like, I don't know, sitting at home watching the movie channel or something. Get to school. Hey, what'd you do on summer vacation? Prepare like a 1-minute speech to give in front of the rest of the class. I went to the coolest cottage ever. I don't want my classmates to think I had a boring summer vacation where like my parents and grandparents put in a great deal of effort to get me involved, and instead I was just like every 12-year-old ever and was like, this is boring. Spending time with family. I see you guys all the time. I'd rather be alone, you know? I didn't want to let my classmates know that. It was oversold it. There may have been a comment about wakeboarding in there. I don't know. I'll tell you for certain, we definitely played a game in my head of Homebrewed Survivor. At least I told people that's what happened. And of course I won. And then that roughly took us to the end of the 60 seconds, and we were good to go from that point onwards. That's the ultimate 6th grade move. Can you just be dead? Like, I put in the work. At this point, you're just, you know, honestly, you're betraying the social contract. You're dead. You died. I killed you. I owned you. I'm better. Get over it. GG. No re. You think I'm going to fight Delirium? You've lost it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time. See ya.